Sometimes, all that is left of a soldier in the French and Indian War more than 260 years later is flattened musket balls, chipped buttons, coins, and buckles. But sometimes there is art. Artist Chas Fagan of Charlotte, North Carolina was able to use a combination of stories handed down by generations of Ligonier residents, archaeological sleuthing, and new technologies to confirm not only the site for what is known as the Friendly Fire incident, but the location of battle lines and details not available from written historical accounts. The recent discovery gives new life to a story that began in 1758 when 20-year-old George Washington, a Virginian and British Army officer, led troops into what is now western Pennsylvania in an effort to capture Fort Ligonier from the French. But before reaching the fort, Washington's force of about 400 men became engaged by a much larger force of French regulars and Native Americans, and then things went terribly wrong. According to historical accounts, during the battle, Washington rode ahead of his troops to try to rally them. As he did, his troops opened fire, wounding him in the rear end, an injury that nearly proved fatal. Fortunately, a Scottish surgeon, Dr. John Redman, happened to be nearby and administered first aid, saving Washington's life. Washington would go on to lead his troops to victory, but he never forgot the close call that almost ended his life. He kept the ball that wounded him as a reminder, and it eventually made its way to the Smithsonian Institution. But over the years, the location of the battle itself has been lost to history until recently, when a team of archaeologists finally uncovered it using ground-penetrating radar. The team found that the battle took place on a ridge near the fort, not in a valley where previous research had indicated. This is just one of the many stories of the French and Indian War that has captured the public imagination and inspired artists over the years. I'm the author of several books on the French and Indian War, including the French and Indian War, a North American conflict, 1754 to 1763. Before we get to the discovery of the location of the battle, where George Washington was wounded, a bit of background on the war itself is in order. The French and Indian War was the North American theater of the 7 Years' War, a global conflict between Britain and France that started in 1756. The war was fought over issues of territorial control and imperial dominance. In North America, the conflict primarily involved the British and French colonial authorities, backed by military forces from both countries, as well as various Native American allies. The war saw significant battles in the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes region, and along the Atlantic coast. It ended in 1763 with the British victory and the subsequent Royal Proclamation of 1763, which aimed to prevent further conflicts with Native Americans by prohibiting settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains. This led to increased tensions between the colonists and the British authorities, ultimately contributing to the American Revolution. Now let us return to the story of the battle where George Washington was wounded and how the artist, Chas Fagan, used a combination of stories handed down by generations of Ligonier residents, archaeological sleuthing, and new technologies to confirm not only the site for what is known as the Friendly Fire incident, but the location of battle lines and details not available from written historical accounts. Fort Ligonier is located in what is now western Pennsylvania, not far from the Ohio border. Originally constructed by British forces in 1758, the fort played a significant role during the French and Indian War. Its strategic location enabled it to monitor and control movement through the area. During this time, the fort faced numerous attacks from French forces and Native American allies, but it successfully resisted these assaults, remaining in British hands until the end of the war in 1763. After the war, the fort was abandoned and eventually fell into disrepair. However, it was recognized as a crucial part of the region's history. Today, the site is preserved as a museum and historic park managed by the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Visitors can explore the reconstructed fort, engage with living history programs, and learn about the pivotal role Fort Ligonier played during the French and Indian War in the mid-19th century. Stories circulated in Westmoreland County about the location of the skirmish where Washington was injured. This was around the time when the Smithsonian brought the musket ball that wounded Washington to the public's attention. In the early 20th century, historians began searching for the site. They followed up on local lore that suggested the battle occurred south of the fort, near a house called the Old Stone House. Archaeological investigations were conducted in the 1950s and 1960s, but they failed to find any evidence of the battle. This was likely because the area of interest was not large enough. In 2018, a local historian, Gene Barr, renewed the search with the help of modern technology. Ground-penetrating radar equipment was employed to scan the ground without actually digging. These scans revealed anomalies that could indicate buried objects or changes in soil composition, suggesting potential buried remains. Following these initial scans, a small test excavation was conducted in 2019. Archaeologist John Lafarth of the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy discovered a British musket ball in a piece of a buckle from a British soldier's belt. This confirmed that the 2018 radar results were indeed pointing to the location of the skirmish. However, the lack of written records describing the layout of the battle complicated efforts to determine its exact location. Enter the Fort Ligonier Museum and the association's extensive collection of artifacts. The museum holds a wealth of information, including maps, documents, personal accounts, and physical objects related to the fort and the surrounding areas. The artifacts include items like bullets, buckles, clothing fragments, tools, and weapons, providing tangible links to the past. Each object tells a story of daily life, battles, and the struggles endured by those who lived during this time period. The museum uses these artifacts to educate visitors about the French and Indian War and its impact on the region. Through these collections, visitors gain insights into the lives of the soldiers, traders, settlers, and indigenous peoples who shaped the history of Fort Ligonier and the surrounding areas. Despite these materials being invaluable for understanding the past, they posed a challenge for the identification of the battle site. But thanks to Chaz Fagan, that challenge was met head-on. Fagan, a self-taught artist, has specialized in creating artwork based on historical events, particularly those related to the French and Indian War. His fascination with this period of history led him to collaborate with the Fort Ligonier Association, a group dedicated to preserving the history of the French and Indian War. Fagan's artistic process involves extensive research, so often delving deep into historical accounts, maps, and artifacts to create detailed and historically accurate depictions of past events. His work frequently incorporates elements of the landscapes and settings in which these events occurred, adding a sense of place and atmosphere to his artwork. Fagan's dedication to historical accuracy extends to his choice of materials and techniques. He often uses traditional art forms, such as oil paints and brushes, to create works that evoke a sense of nostalgia or vintage quality. This approach allows him to capture the essence of the historical period he is depicting, transporting viewers back in time. Over the years, Fagan's artwork has been featured in various exhibitions and publications, gaining recognition for his ability to bring history to life through his paintings. His pieces have appeared in museums, galleries, and private collections, captivating audiences with their historical significance and artistic excellence. The collaboration between Fagan and the Fort Ligonier Association resulted in a remarkable achievement: the creation of a detailed map depicting the locations of various artifacts and features related to the French and Indian War. This map serves as a visual representation of the historical events that unfolded in the region, allowing visitors to explore the battle sites, trading posts, forts, and other significant landmarks associated with this period. The map's accuracy and detail are a testament to Fagan's meticulous research and artistic skill. By combining historical records, archaeological findings, and oral traditions, Fagan was able to create a comprehensive and immersive portrayal of the French and Indian War in the Fort Ligonier region. This map has become an invaluable resource for historians, researchers, and anyone interested in exploring the rich history of the area. It allows visitors to virtually travel back in time and witness the events that shaped this important chapter of North American history. For Fagan, this project represents the culmination of years of research and collaboration. It is a testament to his passion for history and his dedication to preserving and sharing the stories of the past through his art. The map and the painting Flashpoint are not just artistic creations, but windows into a pivotal moment in American history. They allow us to connect with the past, understand the struggles and sacrifices of those who came before us, and appreciate the legacy of the French and Indian War in shaping the course of North American history. Viewing some of the 370 artifacts in the fort's museum was very sobering for Fagan of Charlotte, NC, whose father, Charles Fagan III, A Pittsburgh native and Ligonier, resident doggedly searched for the battle site for at least 40 years with other members of the Fort Ligonier Association. Especially jarring are the pancake oval-shaped musket balls that hit something soft, likely a soldier, said Fagan, who was commissioned to paint. Flashpoint depicting the recently documented battlefield and a young SEH. Colonel Washington riding in front of his soldiers to stop their gunfire. The artifacts in Fagan's artwork offer a glimpse into the lives of the soldiers, traders, and settlers who lived during the French and Indian War. They tell stories of bravery, resilience, and the impact of war on everyday lives. The French and Indian War may be long over, but its legacy lives on. Through the artifacts in museum collections and the artwork inspired by these discoveries, we are reminded of the rich history that shaped our world. So if you ever find yourself near Fort Ligonier, take a moment to visit the museum, explore the artifacts, and immerse yourself in the stories of the past. You might just find that history comes to life in ways you never imagined.